My name is Eric Cousian, and I am the creative director of Recon Breakpoint. Actually, it's been a while since we are working with military experts. I mean, on Ghost Recon, we are used to work with either former special forces or people who are still on duty. And the more we are working with them, the more they were telling us anecdotes about how the missions really happen. The world is an actor, something that usually special forces take benefit from, because they are very good at blending into the environment to remain sneaky, but at the same time, they have to manage it. And since we were making an open world, it sounded like, okay, now the open world can be really part of the action. It's not just a background, it's not just trees and birds and a beautiful landscape. It's also really part of the tactical decisions that the players will make. So that's the reason why we have made this shift with the Ghost Recon Breakpoint to be more authentic. Now you have features like the prone camo, which allows you to blend into the environment, and at the same time you have the stamina gauge. You have to manage the angle of the slopes that will impact your physical effort, and how long do you run. And what we expect is that the players watch at the map on top view, and especially when you play in co-op, say, oh, here there is a mountain, here a valley, maybe there is a vantage point here. See really that the environment really is really part of your tactical decisions. We wanted to give a fresh experience. So as I said, we wanted to go deeper into the fantasy of the ghost. What I mean is that the topic of autonomous killing machines is something that is regularly on the news, and we know that AI is making a lot of progress, especially with machine learning. It has nothing to do with cartels, like in Wildlands, but for us it was very interesting to give something which has nothing to do with the Wildlands, and at the same time it allowed us to link the topic of to go deeper into the universe of the fantasy of the ghosts, since with the narrative, we wanted to have a dark mirror of yourself, especially in the enemy, in the main bad guy, and that's the reason why we went with Jon Bernthal, is because the character we wanted to depict is at the same time someone who used to be a Spec Ops, a brother is someone you know, a friend of yours, and we wanted to show how such a character can drift. So yeah, when we wrote the story and the bad guy, we had this feeling that we wanted someone who is badass, because Spec Ops are usually badass, because they are the best of the best. And at the same time, it's also our, I would say, artistic vision. We didn't want to be stereotypical. I hate stories when you have this bad guy who's just laughing like this and say, I want to kill everyone. Well, why? And, there is no reason. And since this guy, to create an emotional engagement with the player, it was quite obvious that this guy had to be a friend of yours, someone you played with. And for the fans who are still playing in Wildlands, they had the chance to experience a mission with Cody Walker and working with him. You can play it and make this mission with Cody Walker, played by Bernthal in Wildlands. So for us, it was quite interesting to think that players now are used, or some of them used to play with him, and to show how this character will drift. And in the story, I don't want to spoil anything, but there will be flashbacks that you will get in non-linear pieces that will show all the trajectory of this character. So when you have such a narrative, you have two main things that that guide you to find the right actor. You want someone who is badass, who knows everything about the military stuff, and at the same time you want someone who, just by the way he acts, his emotional, we say body language, his gaze, his eyes, can tell what's happening inside. And Jon Bernthal was our choice number one, because he's really good at having this kind of duality, kind of not schizophrenic, but I mean contradiction to show the contradictions of the character. And I remember I said to the team, yeah, Jon Bernthal would be the perfect fit, but it was just a dream, you know, you just said that, and someone in the team said, okay, let's try it, we are Ubisoft, we have contacts in Hollywood, and a few weeks after I said yes, and the first day when we worked together, he told me the reason why he was really interested is because he really likes playing these types of character. And he said that he really believes that no one makes evil for evil, and so he was really engaged artistically into this character because it's what he likes to play. On Wildlands, there is a story which is not that easy to be followed because it's completely non-linear. We wanted to keep this non-linearity because we think this is something that is very interesting because it's an open world and we want our players to be able to move where they want, and at the same time because we want our players to be able to set their own objectives. The game is structured this way. You have the narrative part about Jon Bernthal and all the stakes related to Cody Walker, but at the same time you have plenty of other narrative arcs with everything related to the context of the world. So you have many characters that you will be able to find in the world. You have the faction missions because you will discover that there are factions living here, and the more you work with them, the better will be the reputation, and you as the player will get rewards that will help customizing your character. You have Raids, which has its own storyline because this is there are prototypes, drone autonomous machines that are being prototyped there. So you have this kind of non-linear structure, but in a different way. And on the narrative part, we wanted, especially when you have such an actor, to convey all the emotional play he can have. So we made a lot of efforts, especially in terms of technology, to have super facial animation, super mocap, super lighting on the characters, and we have hired an entire new team for the cinematics. So the story was already made. We had the chance to have Jon Bernthal, but it was a decision we made even before having Jon Bernthal. But sure, one thing for sure is that it was even another layer of motivations once we knew that Jon said yes. We have made a lot of efforts on the post-launch of Wildlands, and for instance the helicopter of Wildlands on day one has been improved and super welcomed by the community, and we learned a lot. So for instance the helicopter of the post-launch, which is now really better, is now in the game, and we are making the same process with all other vehicles. And there is something that we try to make clearer, is that special forces, they don't use civilian vehicles. So we tried also here to have more military vehicles, so that it makes sense and that they are more, they have more flexibility in the terrain because the world is huge. And sometimes when people play video games, they think that the vehicles will be able to go everywhere, which is not the case in reality. But with military vehicles that are made for this, it's going to help. The missions and the diversity, as I said, there are plenty of narrative arcs and missions. What we wanted is to first use all the biomes and the environment so that even a mission that happens, I mean, in the snow or in the jungle is really different, and at the same time we have designed a lot of new archetypes, new enemies. So human soldiers that are very different because you have the PMC, but you have also the wolves, who are the elite spec ops enemies, who are able to hunt you. So it's a game changer. When they detect you, they are able to hunt you down in the world, even forever, if you don't hide or if you don't run away. Depends. If you feel skilled enough, you can fight them, but they are quite dangerous. And we have drones, which are also game changer. What I mean is that it's a game modifier when you meet them, because depending on the type of drone, for instance, the flying drones, they only few bullets to destroy them because they are not armored, but they fly like flies, I would say, super fast. But so it means that we have to change the pace, the rhythm of the game. On the contrary, we have the Behemoth, which is a super big armored drone, like a tank. This is the only bullet sponge enemy, but it makes sense. It's super armored. So you see, it's not only the missions; it's also the enemies you meet and the change of rhythm that was at the core of our decisions. Yet we are finishing and polishing the breakpoint. But one thing for sure is that we are in love with the pillars of the brand. So I'm sure that we will want to develop is still authenticity, to remain tactical, and the co-op experience, and in PvE as well as in PvP is to develop the complementary gameplay between players, because it's really where I think the game shines and has a very strong identity on the market, and when you watch all the other games. And we think that also it's really telling the stories of special forces. They work as teams, and they are the best on the tactical approaches. So this is something that I'm sure that we want to develop always better and better. Thank you very much.